Destiny 2 has over 100 unique exotic armor pieces that provide different benefits and playstyles to each of the game's classes and subclasses. Only one exotic armor piece is able to be used at a time, so it really has to be something worth it to earn its spot. Today, we're going to be analyzing the exotic Titan boots, the Abeyant Leap, to see if it's worthy of the exotic slot and if you should use it or lose it. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Abeyant Leap was introduced into the game with Lightfall as the debut Titan Strand exotic. This exotic focuses mainly on the suspend side of the Strand kit, with a power fantasy of being able to control the battlefield by trapping all nearby enemies. Its perk, Puppeteer's Control, reads, improves Dranger's Lash, and spawns additional projectiles. These projectiles track targets more aggressively, travel farther, and suspend stronger. You gain Woven Mail anytime you suspend a target. With this exotic equipped, your standard Dranger's Lash projectile will now turn into 3 aggressive lashes that will grant you Woven Mail whenever they suspend a target. Not only will enemies suspended from your lashes grant you Woven Mail, but so will other sources of suspension, from your weapons, super, or even the Shackle Grenade. Woven Mail is a key part of our survivability, being around 40% damage reduction, making us very tanky and green. Now that we know what the Abeyant Leap does, let's see how we can use it. With our subclass, we're going to be using the Strand Titan. Our first aspect is going to be Dranger's Lash, which is going to allow us to activate our barricade ability to create a ripple in reality that travels forward along the ground, suspending and damaging any targets it hits. This is the part of our kit that will be enhanced by our exotic that we went over in the previous section, going from 1 to 3 more aggressive lashes whenever we pop our barricades. For our second aspect, we're going to be using the one and only Banner of War, which is going to allow us to defeat a target with a melee attack, finisher, or sword to raise a Banner of War that pulses with energy, periodically healing nearby allies and increasing our melee and sword damage. This aspect has always been a fantastic choice, allowing for some really high damage and survivability. This adds so much because it's going to give us a constant source of healing on top of our Woven Mail. It's also going to give us team support to any nearby allies by allowing our banner pulses to heal our nearby allies, which I found to be very helpful when testing this in the Lawless Frontier and Grandmaster Vanguard ops. Banner will also make our Frenzied Blade melee stronger and any swords we take advantage of using. Swords are going to be the reason we're able to use Banner of War so much with this build. Using the Praxic Blade with an impact core in my primary slot allowed me to have a constant Banner of War active and constant severing enemies from the Praxic Blade's melee damage. But we're going to come back to this in a bit as our gameplay loop after we check out the fragments I used for this build. First up, we have the Thread of Mind, which allows us to gain class ability energy each time we defeat suspended targets. These targets can again be from our Barricade suspension or our Shackle Grenade. This is going to allow us to have a near constant uptime on our barricades. Thread of Wisdom will allow suspended targets that are defeated to create orbs of power that we can use to get our super and abilities back quicker, but will also make for an easy way to use our surge mods as well. Thread of Continuity will increase the duration of our suspend, unravel, and sever effects. And lastly, the Thread of Generation will allow us to get grenade energy from any damage dealt. All of these fragments will aid in our ability generation, giving us a near constant uptime on suspend, whether it's from our barricade or our grenade. And for the mod setup on this build, it is pretty standard. On the helmet, I did choose a kinetic siphon, special ammo finder, and a super font just to increase my super stat a little bit. On the gauntlets, I chose bolstering detonation and focusing strike to feed back more class ability energy, and then one heavy-handed mod to just give me more orbs. Chestplate's pretty standard. I just chose a arc, solar, and void resist. You can use these however you'd like. Boots, I did choose to use 2 kinetic siphons to increase my kinetic weapons damage when I pick up an orb and an invigoration. And lastly, for the class item, I did choose a class mod to get a little bit more class stat, powerful attraction, and a reaper. That's just going to make picking up orbs a little bit easier and then give me one last way of generating orbs of power as well. And for the stats for the build, I chose to get all of our main abilities as close to 100 as I could. So melee, grenade, super, and class. But I would definitely say melee and super would be the priorities to go above 100 for their benefits. Class doesn't really provide that much, which is why I just left it at about 70. I do wish I had more weapon stat to increase the damage my weapons are dealing, so that is one thing that I would highly recommend for anybody wanting to try this build out. And lastly, for the weapons I use for this build, you can realistically get away with using anything you want with this build, but I did find a lot of success using the Praxic Blade. Not only is it currently the best weapon in the game, being able to do some crazy damage and blocking capabilities, but also if you use an impact core, any damage you're dealing while cutting up any enemies is also going to be providing Sever, which is going to reduce their outgoing damage. The nice part about the Praxic Blade as well is that every kill you're getting with it is proccing Banner of War, which is what's going to allow us to have a constant Banner of War active because of how powerful the Praxic Blade is. Now with all this put together, let's take a look and see exactly what our gameplay loop is with this build. The gameplay loop that this build creates is super simple and surprisingly effective at clearing out enemies and also with your overall damage. Anytime you see a group of enemies, pop your barricade to suspend them in the air, granting yourself crowd control and woven mail. Then, either throw your Praxic Blade at the enemies or slice them down to put up your Banner of War, increasing your sword damage and periodically healing yourself. If you don't have a barricade available at a given time, resort to using your Shackle Grenade as a backup source of suspend. Because remember, with the Thread of Mind, any kills on suspended enemies will give you energy back to your next barricade, making it so you almost always have some source of suspend. It's so good with how well everything synergizes with each other here, allowing you to constantly loop, suspend, sever, and sustain damage reduction and health at almost all times. It's an addicting build to use. I had so much fun using it in this week's Grandmaster Alert and just running through some of the Grandmaster Lawless Frontiers. Even though that activity does not allow natural health regeneration, you still can through the way this build is set up, so I found myself hardly dying. I can't explain how surprised I was at how good this build performs overall. I really could do pretty much anything I wanted in the game, whether it was strikes, a dungeon. You could take this build absolutely anywhere and pretty much survive with ease. Abeyant Leap is a great exotic, and I am surprised that I have not heard much of this off-meta pick recently. Not only is it very effective at adding great sustain and damage resistance to an already amazing Strand Titan subclass, but it excels at what it was solely made to do. Provide lots of suspend so you can just puppeteer the battlefield. Sure, suspend is not as effective as being able to kill a whole group of enemies with one single consecration melee, but suspend can offer great crowd control and be great for higher end content, where enemies can survive more damage, allowing you to take the upper hand to safely discharge a lot of damage on your suspended targets. Not to mention how well it synergizes with the Praxic Blade, which is fun as hell on its own. If you want a fun Titan build that utilizes the Praxic Blade, but you want to do more than block, look no further than the Abeyant Leap. This exotic will put a smile on your face with the things you can do with it, and I would highly recommend that you use it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Stay blessed.